What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Tuesday night show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Muskox was named by Gear Junkies. The Grand Flannel was the best overall flannel for 2023 and 2024, beating out a number of notable brands. If you don't have a Muskox flannel yet, lean into fall. It's fucking October. Just do it. Go to gomuskox.com and check out their latest offerings. It's going to get cool this weekend. It's going to be perfect flannel weather. And you can use the promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off your flannel purchase for all Couch in the Rube listeners. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff.
What's going on, my friend?
You had the experience of a lifetime.
I had a great 5 days. Probably, I don't want to exaggerate, Graham, but it was probably the greatest 5 days of my life. Now, I know that we get asked questions of, you do, about what's the greatest vacation and blah, blah, and up north and all your Mackinac shit. Wisconsin, 5 days, football, golf, weed. It was just the greatest. The weather was amazing. It was we stole some of the Packer fans' soul. It was just, that's a vacation to me. And I don't want to exaggerate, but it literally was the greatest 5 days of my life. My friends Sam and Jordan, our friends, sorry, Trees, but our friends, they showed up, but they ended up leaving on Saturday morning, gave us 2 extra days to kind of hang there by ourselves. No offense to them. I wish they would have stayed, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think you sent me a text at some point that just said,
I did?
Don't tell Therese, but this has been the greatest night of my life.
Oh, yeah, that's when I was at Lambeau. Listen, caught up in the moment. I know people want to say, well, what about the day you got married? It was fantastic. It doesn't hold much to Lambeau and stealing the soul out of Packer fans and going into Lambeau, Graham, and winning the game. Not only just winning the game, dominating the game. I understand it got close to 10 points and all that, but I was never in doubt. Also, by the way, when you go to a game, I know people are like, well, you get to see a lot more. You're in the game. I didn't know David Montgomery had 3 TDs till the next morning. Until I woke up and was like, holy shit, he had 3 touchdowns. So going to a game, especially Lambeau, it was absolutely beautiful weather. We played 18 holes of golf beforehand, had some lunch, drove down to Green Bay, and watched these cheese-headed MFs cry. It was fantastic.
There were a lot of Lions fans there. At least on TV, it looked like it.
Absolutely. Could you hear us on the TV? Let's go live. Like Jordan was cheering every 5 minutes, man.
I think it's going to be the last time they offer Milwaukee fans the 2-game package at Lambeau Field, because the number of Lions fans who took over that stadium at Lambeau was not great.
I don't think that's going to change at all anyway. I think, Packer fans are really nice, but sometimes they don't even know what they're cheering for. It was like 3rd and 21. They gained like 16 yards and were excited because it was like 4th and 6. Well, like, wait a minute, you're punting. Like, what are you excited about? But nice people, really nice people.
You know how sometimes the end of a previous year can mean absolutely nothing, and especially in the NFL. That win in Lambeau last year, I think, still was important, because going into this game, it didn't feel like there was any dragon to slay. It didn't feel like this was some place where you had to overcome some mystique. It felt like a place the Lions had already conquered, and they were the better team, and they looked like it, and it was incredibly satisfying. And I got to say, I don't know if there's maybe the 49ers. The Seahawks are pretty good, though, but I don't know any other division where where one team is so predetermined to win it at this point if they stay healthy as the Lions in the NFC North. Because the Vikings and Bears are trash this year. And then the Packers, they've just beat on the road. They are clearly vulnerable.
The Packers are ass too, though.
Yeah. So like the Lions, as long as they stay healthy, and that is a big knock on wood in the NFL. We've seen that already, right? You can have injuries that can change a season. But they're going to win that division. And so what's interesting about that, Jason, it then becomes there could be 3 or 4 weeks at the end of the year where the division is locked up, and it's going to be all about winning in the playoffs. And that's going to create an interesting dynamic, too, because keeping guys fresh and playing for certain seeds, and there's only one bye now, so it's...
Can't we just take it 1 week at a time, though?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand we want to talk playoffs till we fucking drop dead, but can we just talk about how we're playing the Panthers at home and we're like an 8.5-point favorite? It's just things are going well. Things are happening that should have happened to Lions fans once in a while. I understand the Stafford era, Calvin Johnson and Barry, we had some exciting moments, but I'm saying playing like you should be, being feared and playing like you should play against terrible teams is a change for us. And I understand we came into Lambeau. Maybe we didn't behave ourselves, but I can't tell you we haven't been there before, so I don't really know.
When you say you didn't behave yourself, like what did you do that wasn't behave?
Listen, I was behaving myself. Jordan had a couple adult beverages, so he was pretty vocal throughout the game. And I have a feeling if we were in like Philadelphia or something, we would have been throwing down because the Packer fans in front of us and around us were not Here's the best part about my friend Jordan, by the way. He, for 3.5 hours, shit on Jordan Love, shit on Green Bay, shit on cheese curds, anything involving Wisconsin for 3.5 hours straight, and then had the wherewithal at the end to turn around to Packer fans and go, hey, can you take a picture for us? I'm like, dude. And by the way, I was like, they're pretty much going to just take a picture of our forehead, right? They weren't the greatest pictures, let's just say that. But, I'm
just glad they didn't steal the phone.
Listen, I was just there to make sure everything was fine. I didn't think he was that bad, but he did lay into some Packer fans, and I could understand if they were frustrated at some point. But anyway, I personally didn't do anything.
Most fun you've ever had in an NFL game?
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's the most fun I've had in 5 days in my life, Graham, let alone the game. You have to understand how much I enjoy Saturday, Sunday. There's nothing planned. We're in a nice place at T's Dad's in Wisconsin, and I'm watching fucking football. There's no expectations for me, obviously, for the day, and it's nice out. I have a copious amount of marijuana, and it's just, I don't know. I don't need much. I'm not a very fancy guy. I don't need to sit by a pool in Mexico for 2 weeks to enjoy myself. I like the simpler things in life. Golf, weed, cheese curds, kicking the Packers' ass.
And a muskox flannel. Yeah.
Trip of a lifetime. I appreciate everyone that was involved for making my dreams come true.
That is a story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, 402 South Washington Avenue. Trivia Tuesdays at Midtown. So if you think you know shit, get a group together. Go to Midtown Brewing Company. It's a great way to experience Midtown. Great character, great food, outstanding beer selection. They have round 1 at 7 p.m., second round 8 p.m., prizes for first, second, and third place winners. Live trivia Tuesday nights. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. It's a great place for it. You go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their menu.
Even if you don't know shit, you can help out a team if you're good in like maybe a certain category.
You want to have that one area where you feel helpful.
Yes.
And that's always helpful.
That's sports for me.
I don't like when a team is too small that I get relied upon for things I should know and don't. Then I feel dumb. So there's a balance there. You
should stop taking trivia so seriously, I think.
I've been on some good trivia teams, but I get frustrated when the sports questions are dumbed down. The geography questions, always difficult. Sports question, it's like, hey, who won the last year's Super Bowl? It's like, fuck you. How about who won Wimbledon in '87? There's never a Pat Cash, type question like that. Nobody ever asks that. Let's do that.
Peacock.
All right, couple days after the Lions, things got the football game wasn't as enjoyable for people around here. Michigan State loses 26-16 to Iowa on Saturday night in Iowa City in a game they should have won, in a game that I think was the end of the Noah Kim era, in a game that right before it the players found out that their NIL deals with SD4L, the clothing line collective, many of them were being pulled. It was not a great night. It was. I think the worst part about it is they were actually better than Iowa in a lot of ways, but bad teams know how to lose football games, and Michigan State is that, and they weren't good at the end. And
were they bad? I just didn't think that they were bad for most of the game. I think if you pulled Noah Kim and relieve him, I don't know.
We don't
Iowa's
know.
fucking terrible.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how Brian Ferentz still has a job. Hot seat. I think I would have fired him after the game. Like, what else do you need to see from Brian Ferentz? But
despite, like, we're going to have Harry on a little bit, and we're going to pick the games this week. And one of my bets I kind of like is against Wisconsin with Rutgers. But that was notwithstanding, if you can still get any sort of odds, even serious, decent minus money on Wisconsin to win the West Division of the Big Ten West anywhere, be it the Firekeeper's Eye Casino Sportsbook or wherever else, jump on it. Because the rest of the West isn't capable of winning the West. Like, somebody's capable of beating Wisconsin on a given day, but there's nobody else who's going to string wins together in that side. It's just it's horrendous. And Iowa's among those teams, and now with Cade McNamara hurt, they're even. I mean, that was the problem too.
But what are we doing with Noah Kim throwing the ball 44 times? Why? Do you dislike Noah Kim that much? Do you not trust anyone behind him? Hauser, you don't want to see. I mean, Noah Kim was not very good, and why is he throwing 44 times?
Well, Noah Kim's done now. I would, we talk about.
Why do it to the kid?
We
like
talk
that?
about tattoo bets and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I would do at least a David Hasselhoff stick-on tattoo on my forearm for a week if Noah Kim is the starter at Rutgers. Like, I would be that surprised by it. I would be that surprised. I don't.
So you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't shower though, because how are you? You're going to keep a.
I'd have to get multiple ones, so
tattoo?
I could just put each one on every day because I have to shower. I have to be clean. But yeah, but I just don't like. I don't have it sourced well enough to say that it's for sure. But a couple different people have told me this is likely in the works now. So I do think you'll see Katon Hauser as the starter in the next game. They gave Noah Kim plenty of runway. They gave him 5 games, almost half a season. They gave him that first road game at Iowa, tough environment, all that stuff. Now they got a bye week. And the problem is when you, in the 3 games against Division or Power 5 competition, produce 1 touchdown, 1 offensive touchdown, and you throw, 5, 6 interceptions, whatever it was. You can't, that ratio just doesn't work. The defense is actually playing well enough to be in games here. Now, Iowa's offense isn't going to test them. But look, it sucks for Noah Kim because here's a guy who waited his turn. I legitimately think he won the job. I don't think that was they weren't just trying to do a charity deal with Noah Kim. The problem is in games, and we've seen this before, guys can be better in practice, and they're just not quite the same in games. The one thing you can't do is cost your team if you're not doing enough in terms of high-ceiling playmaking, big-time throws. You can't be throwing interceptions that cost your team as well, and to have one in the end zone, and maybe that route was cut off a little early still, and then to have the other one when they were driving the other. I mean, he had 2 really costly interceptions, and you can't have that anymore. The offense isn't good enough with him there, and you have to see if one of these other guys, Katon Hauser or Sam Levitt, has the juice to give you a little more. And then also because these guys have transfer portal decisions. And you'd preferably want them to stick around. You don't want all 3 of your quarterbacks gone after this year. You'd like one of those guys to decide they want to stay. And I don't know if it's Katon Hauser. I haven't seen anything from Katon Hauser yet that says he's definitely the guy. You've seen the offense move a little bit with him for a minute late in the Washington game against second-team guys. That's nothing. And then he threw an interception. So we'll see. He's going to get at least a game here, I would think. My guess is they don't throw a true freshman Sam Levitt out against Michigan. So my guess is Katon Hauser's got the next 2 weeks. But if it's rough, I think you have to look at Sam Levitt then, because there's a guy who may be the most pure talent of anybody at the quarterback position on the roster. And you don't want that kid to just say, I'm leaving for sure at the end of the year. Now, both Hauser and Levitt are West Coast kids. They don't have any ties to East Lansing. I think it's going to be hard to keep them unless one of them's really happy or they see a definite future there. But maybe at least one of them waits to see who the next coach is hired. Because the transfer portal at the end of the year will be 45 days. They're not going to have to, and somebody will want those 2 kids. They're high enough prospects that those 2 kids will have opportunities elsewhere. They can wait for the next coach to be hired and decide, okay, this is a fit for me or this isn't. Have a conversation with that person and make the decision whether they want to stay at Michigan State or not. It would help if they felt like they had, a really good shot to be the starter.
But if you're Hauser or Levitt and you're looking kind of what happened to Noah Kim and you say that they gave him enough runway, I don't know if it's the greatest situation that Michigan State put Noah Kim in, but to have him go out and throw, like I said, 44 times, like, what are you doing? Why not mix in someone, like throw in Hauser to kind of maybe kickstart some? I'm not saying Noah Kim wasn't bad, but holy hell, this isn't a great scenario for him. And so if Caden Hauser goes out after the bye week or whatever against Rutgers and sucks ass, then what? Like you said, does Levitt want to play as a true freshman against Michigan? Like, what are we doing here? I just don't think it's great. I mean, what are you going to do? If you were the father or parent for either one of those kids, what are you going to say to them? I mean, there's a lot of season left, and a lot of embarrassing shit is about to happen. I don't know why either one of those guys would want to go, oh, yeah, let me go in against Michigan. I'll do it.
Well, yes and no. There are some games that could become embarrassing, but there are also 4 games left against teams that shouldn't be able to run away from them offensively, that shouldn't be embarrassing. And that's why the Iowa loss was so bad in a lot of ways, is because if they had beaten Iowa like they should have, and they were in some sort of control of a lot of that game, they'd be going to a bowl game probably. That's what's amazing. And the over-unders, those would all hit. Because when you look at who's left, Rutgers, and I'm not talking about Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. When you look at Rutgers and then Minnesota, Nebraska, and Indiana, there is a lot of terrible football out there. Indiana is the worst team I've seen this year in Power 5 football. And they're going to have announced or on their way to firing their coach by the time that game happens. Nebraska is a struggle bus. Minnesota is not very good at all. I think Rutgers is the best of the remaining teams, and I very much think Michigan State, especially if they'd beaten Iowa and had decent vibes going into this week, and the idea that they could win 3 of those 4 is not out of the realm. I mean, I think some of those teams are worse than them. And so we'll see now. We'll see where Michigan State's heads are as this season goes, how many guys.
And what does the team look like by some of these games?
And you know, the other thing with I do think they might have benched Noah Kim in the game if they hadn't immediately had, after his second pick, the forced fumble and then Cal Halliday touchdown return, which put Michigan State ahead. It sort of was a reprieve. It was like, all right, you're ahead on the road. Stick with your guy for a minute.
But maybe why? What have you seen to where you think you can stick with it?
It's a fair question now. I understood at the time. Like, my initial visceral reaction at the time was they've got to take him out. And then as soon as that play happened, I was like, I can understand kind of staying with him. I don't know what they'll do here, but I can understand staying with them. And when nothing else positive happened and he throws one more interception at the end that's an underthrown ball, he's just not the guy. And it stinks because I remember interviewing Andrew Maxwell after the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl in 2012 when I was young and svelte and hope was high and life worth living, and was just barely courting young Elizabeth at the time. God, that sounds awful. Holy shit. Take that out. Young Elizabeth, that sounds...
She's 20 years younger than you.
She's not. Weird. She's 8. She was like in her mid-20s. That's horrible. That's, oh my God. We're going to take that out, fix that in post for the first time ever.
We're leaving it in. We're going to start with it.
Anyway, but back then, I remember having a conversation with him because the locker room was open at that bowl game, and his lip was trembling. And you could just tell that Andrew Maxwell sort of knew that a lot of his dreams had died that day. Yeah, he won the job technically going into the next year, but there was this moment where the job had been his, and as long as he didn't lose it, it was going to be his. And he had lost it. They'd given it to Connor Cook. And that's a really tough deal. That's a tough turn when you've waited your turn. He had waited behind Kirk Cousins. He had been a more heralded prospect than Noah Kim. Noah Kim had waited his turn. He had won the job. And the job, most likely, unless things go really wrong with these 2 young quarterbacks, will never really be his again. And my guess is Noah Kim will go somewhere else, and he'll be a starter at a mid-major level somewhere and hopefully finish his career well. Or maybe he wants to be at Michigan State, and he can be – that's not a bad option as a backup to have a veteran guy who knows the system, who's played in games. But he's never –
Go to Auburn.
He's never going to be the guy at Michigan State again, and that's tough for him. And I get the staff not taking that lightly, but it's time. It's time to move on. And I think Caden Hauser, unless they somehow see Sam Levitt, and I don't think that's the case, is somebody. I mean, Caden Hauser deserves that.
But if you're Noah Kim, are you really that bum? I mean, what are you supposed to do? If you bring a young Patrick Mahomes into the situation, can he salvage anything out of this year? I just think it's a tough scenario for these players.
The offense just has to have more juice to it right now. Right now, it just doesn't. I mean, you got to have
Why doesn't Jay Johnson just throw the fucking script out and start calling some backyard stuff? I don't know.
Well, the receivers have not been good either. That's been a disappointing group overall as well, and since the games against the Power 5 competition started. And so they got to get more out of them. They got to figure out who their guys are there. It hurt them that Malik Carr finally started looking great, and they were featuring him, and then he got hurt, and that was a blow in that game. That made a difference. The other thing that and I'm going to write a column getting into this a little later, but the deal that night with the story breaking about the SD4L collective being pulled out from under those guys, the timing of that stinks, and I don't think the timing of that was the choice of SD4L, the way that broke, and I'm very curious to the way it did and why it did, and again,
when's that column coming out?
This weekend.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to get into that more. Look, because I don't want to – people who have tried to do good for a university and major donors who put a lot of money behind, I don't want to shit on them. I don't want to tell people how to spend their money. I don't but the timing came across as less than ideal. And if Michigan State is going to get the top coach it wants, it's going to need collectives in place. It's going to need a decent vibe going in. It needs donors to be engaged. Those sort of things matter. And so I don't know that SD4L can come back from this without a rebrand or something, but I'll probably get into that later.
Just change the name. Kind of like the strip club down off Pennsylvania that every time there's a shooting.
Absolutely.
Just change it to
just pretend
Cheetahs again. All right.
Just pretend it's a bar with a shooting. Change the name. Get it reinvigorated. So the other thing I want to get before we move on to some MSU hoops, I do want to mention the Urban Meyer thing that is constant and omnipresent in our lives. It's not that Urban Meyer couldn't be successful at Michigan State. It's not that he would be, in another circumstance, a bad hire. It's just unlikely to be the fit. Because here's what I think Michigan State needs and what I understand them to sort of want in some ways. They do need somebody that people want to root for, somebody people like, somebody you don't want a coach that you tolerate in certain ways. And while Urban Meyer would excite the fan base in some ways, he would bother and disgust the fan base in other segments of the fan base. The only way to me Urban Meyer would ever be Michigan State's coach, I think it's important to know this, is if he comes with a modest price. They're not going to overpay for him. 60-year-old dude with baggage and with contrition for some things that maybe in Jacksonville weren't great, and then the way a few things ended in Ohio State. MSU wouldn't just be wooing him. Like, it would have to be at least equally the other way around. It would have to be him saying, I really want this. I'd like to do this for, $6 million a year. And, I know there's, I made some missteps, and I really want my legacy to be different. And he could frame that. It could be a redemption story. I just don't see that guy doing that. And I know there are some people in the donor sphere that would like him. I know there are a lot of fans that would like him. My sense is, Alan Haller's the one who's going to make the hire. That has been approved by the Board of Trustees and president at this point. He's planning to keep that circle really tight. It's not that he won't listen to major donors. I think this is going to have to be done with university money mostly, and you want to find the right fit, and you want to find somebody who's a really good coach, but also somebody that people want to root for, want to get behind because they like the person. I think that's important in this hire. And so I don't know that he fits that.
But don't you need some of the donors, though? You don't have to ask them, or the decision isn't made by them, but you have to consult. And because we just talked about the SD4L, we need some of that involved so the players can get paid, and it's an attractive place to go.
Yeah, you want your donor money in your collectives now, because I don't know that collectives are here for the long term, but they are the here and now. They're important now. And so you got to do what's here and now, and so you've got to have – now, I think you do have to decide who you are, what you want to pay, and to what degree. MSU basketball is going to be fine as long as Matt Ishbia is around.
But I just don't think Urban Meyer solves your problems. I just think maybe, is it possible the game is past Herb by, and maybe he's better off being on television. I just don't know if he resonates.
I don't either.
I think the Jacksonville situation, I think guys, because, college is like the NFL now. These guys are looking at other things. So you look at how bad it was in Jacksonville. I just don't know if he can recruit anymore. People know that he's smart, and we knew it before. I just don't think, why would you want to go? It's nothing about morals for me, but it's more of, has the game passed Herb by? And, of course, why would he want to come into this situation right now? I just think that you need to go young and try to find lightning in a bottle with one of these younger guys. And, I'm not offended by thinking about Urban Meyer like some people.
So I'm not offended by the bringing it up, kicking the tires on Urban Meyer. I'm not offended by that. The biggest thing I'm offended has nothing to do with MSU's fan base. It has to do with a couple national writers who claim that there are like candidates out there who are hot candidates this is what they're hearing. There's a lot of bullshit. It bothers me to no end.
Why?
Because Brett McMurphy,
are they a valid source?
Brett McMurphy and Bruce Feldman are just carrying water for agents, and they were doing this. They were hearing about candidates before the search had started, and even when the evaluation's happening early, the way they're framing it is as if these guys are people Michigan State is high on, and this is who they want, and these are top candidates. There can be interesting people on a list. That makes sense. Okay, this would be an interesting list. Those are all good coaches who are out there that may be attainable. That's interesting to look at. That's fine for anybody to do. It's fine to have a pipe dream about Urban Meyer, even if that's the wrong pipe to be smoking. But it is not fine to be a national writer who people like me trust in other settings. So if USC has a coaching search and Bruce Feldman says, these are the candidates, I've trusted that. Now I won't. Like those two people, you just mute them, block them. Their shit doesn't work. If what they're doing with Michigan State, which I know not to be true, is how they treat every coaching search, then how do I trust those things elsewhere? It really has bothered me. It's bothered me a great deal, and it's the phrasing. But is it because it's Michigan State? Because it seems whenever there's a coach opening, there's guys they want to be first. They want to break news. I know, and that's why
I don't pay attention to it.
They carry water for agents so that it's worth it doing that for them, so that when it's time to break news, they have the sourcing to do it. And a lot of times, because I cover one team mostly, I don't know when it's happening elsewhere. But I know what's going on at Michigan State. I know where the search is. I know what's not really real at MSU. And so it bothers the fuck out of me to watch it happen because it's journalistic malpractice, frankly. And it just pisses me off. And that's, anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but
let's get Feldman on then.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's talk.
We got to talk about
the Detroit Tigers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
All right.
T's and P's, the Shep.
Yeah. Good guy.
He's not dead. He's not dying. He's a great family man.
So the Tigers are not retaining. They've gotten rid of Matt Shepard, the play-by-play guy, who a lot of people wanted. Go on.
Dude. These guys and their emotions in today's world, it's like, holy shit, he had 5 years
of a great
to
job.
do the broadcasting job at $500K a year. It just didn't work out.
Yep.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Shep was a great guy. Not only a great guy, he was a Tigers fan. Like, fucking hell, all right.
No, they're
you know what? Let him do the fucking broadcast for 15 more years.
No, they're better fits.
Forget what I said.
And they're going to be good, and it's a good time to turn the page. And look, you can like Matt Shepard and know that he was never a great fit for that job. And that's, I'm sure it's heartbreaking for him. There may be a few people who disagreed, including Los. Tweeted that out, of all people. But it is just not.
That was a great tweet by Los, though.
I was like,
classic Los.
Everybody zigs, he zags. It's like, wow.
Is that what you call it?
Something like that. So, so they'll get somebody new in, and hopefully it's somebody that
I like that you get mad at Feldman and other writers, but this guy's been doing this for how many years?
Why would he be mad at? But he's trying his best. Oh, you're talking about Los?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Los.
The journalistic integrity there.
Los. I like Los
You
personally.
can turn a blind eye to that bullshit.
I like Los, personally.
I know you have to say that, but, he's a nice guy.
So the other thing about the Tigers that I didn't love was what Scott Harris said. That you could not build a core through free agency. You could complement a core through free agency. And I don't mind that as a philosophy, but the way he said you can't do it in this market, as if you could do it some places, but the Tigers are limited. Limited, of course, we know by finances and by Chris Ilitch. And what I always say is if you can't afford a $300 million annual payroll, don't own a baseball team. And I'm not saying I like the Tigers core. I don't want them to sign free agents who take the place of Riley Green or take the place of Spencer Torkelson or whatever. You know, I'd like what they're doing. What I mean, though, is if you look back at the way they built it the last time, some of them were trade, some were free agent. Pudge was a core dude, right? Trade for Cabrera. Now, trades I don't think are the same because you're using your prospects to get guys. Maglio was a signing, core dude. You can add core pieces through free agency, and it scares me when that statement is made. You don't want to build your entire core. Even the great Yankees teams had a lot of homegrown dudes. You don't want to build your entire core through free agency, but you ought to be able to enhance your core, add to your core, not just complement your core. And that made me a little bit nervous about what their potential is.
It was basically smart guy speak to get around a question. Basically, he's saying, like, yeah, I would love to spend, but I can't.
Right.
I'm not allowed to certain capacities.
Right.
So what are we excited about that? Or we're just going to have to hope that this is going to be some homegrown kind of inside shit? I mean, I just don't know if is that how baseball works now? That's all I ask. Can we just be competitive in the free agency market? I'm not saying like Carlos Correa. I wasn't saying offer him $400 million. I can understand if it's a player that you don't want, but you're going to have to make a free agent move at some time. You can't sit there and bring Miggy back and have a fucking giveaway every opening day. And by the way, people crying about the Miggy thing. I'm like, man, I know I enjoy some Skyman, but did we win a World Series with this guy? Unbelievable player, but
he's a legend.
He's a legend,
I
but
get
I mean,
a lot of good memories.
The send-off, the final home game, I totally understand that. But I mean, really, should we endlessly thank a guy that's hung around too long?
And he's still hanging around. He's going to have like a role as an assistant to something. He's going to help young players. I hope.
As long as he doesn't get on the field, do whatever you like.
It's okay.
Craft services, go eat.
All right, let's before we get to Harry, let's do a quick thing on MSU basketball here. Because MSU basketball had its media day today, and I'm working on a column that I'll finish tonight once the show ends on our friend Cohen Carr. And
our friend, you're jumping on the bandwagon late.
Just kidding. First of all, there's a few. This team is going to be
matchup proof.
It's going to be fascinating to watch because it is. You don't see teams. I've been covering MSU football or MSU basketball and football for a decade. Have not run into many teams with this level of maturity or this level of makeup in any sport. And I'm curious to what it translates to. It doesn't mean you're great on the court, but man, like you talk to, Malik Hall today. I'm talking to Malik Hall, and I mean the guy's been there since Cassius Winston in 2019, but he just gets it. You talk to Jaden Akins, who's 10 pounds heavier. It looks like he's going to be in an arm wrestling contest. His arms are just freaking ripped, and he's a guy who's just been through it, and he sounds like a mature dude. You talk to Carson Cooper, and who's put on strength and weight, and he's making fun of himself from a year ago, and they all sound like guys who are borderline pros in terms of their sophistication. You do not get that very often in interviews with college guys. And then the young guys seem to have this understanding, despite as heralded as this class is, that this is going to be work to get on the court. And I think they know it because they're in practice every day, and it's incredibly competitive. Few things that were interesting that I thought came out of it. One, Xavier Booker pretty much only playing the 4. That we know. He's going to play power forward, probably behind Malik Hall to start, maybe sometimes with him. But that'll be a good role for him. I think you'll see him mostly at the 4, 15, 17 minutes a game with Hall at the others. Maybe Hall plays some 3. But that looks like a decent spot for him. The 3 centers will, I think, mostly play center. Carson Cooper, obviously, Mady Sissoko and Jackson Kohler fighting it out. Jeremy Fears, some of the things Izzo says about him, the praise of like this Cleves-level leader is interesting to hear. And they've just got to make sure they convince him that even though his minutes this year will be somewhat limited, that this could be his show a year from now. And I think he knows it, and I think it's a great spot to be in if he thought he's going to have to wait 2 years, you worry about a guy like that leaving. But if he gets to learn behind these guys, play a role, and then it's his show, that's not bad. Cohen Carr, want to get to that. Because Izzo is doing everything he can at this point. Like, Izzo will get carried away with Cohen Carr. And I think that's a really good sign. And then you'll ask again about Cohen Carr, and he'll start downplaying it. Well, it's a freshman. It's going to take time. And it is going to take time for him. He's not going to start. He'll come off the bench behind Jaden Akins. But when you ask about his rebounding ability and the difference he makes there, when you start talking to his teammates about him, and the athlete he is, Izzo already told Jason Richardson, like, you got to move over. This guy's a better athlete. Malik Hall was saying, they just had the grind camp there and all the NBA guys. He's a better athlete than Miles Bridges. And then Cohen Carr kind of confirmed it. He is a next-level special athlete who seems to understand that his value is not just, I think there is value in being on the wing and finishing dunks and all that matters. You're not going to stop him there. But his value is keeping possessions alive, hauling down rebounds, and defending. And we talked about that before. That will matter his playing time. But he seems to understand that. Now, will defensive concepts and quick things, team defense, some of that will matter, 100%. But everybody I've talked to about him keeps talking about his effort, his motor being good, and just this otherworldly athleticism and leaping and what that does for who they are as a team. Now, like when you think about teams that they've had that became really good that weren't great athletically, and I think this team's decent athletically. I think they're pretty good athletically. You start to add Xavier Booker into there. I think, you have Jaden Akins. It's an athletic enough backcourt. But you think about what Aaron Henry was as a true freshman on a team that wasn't that athletic. And when they put him in the game, they just became like a much more athletic team. And the whole team, it just seemed to permeate the whole squad that was out there. I have a feeling they'll just all look and feel that much more athletic when Cohen Carr's in the court. I'm curious to see it. I'm going to do a column on each of the four freshmen heading into things. I'm going to start with Cohen Carr and,
Jesus H. So if I read the tea leaves correctly here, you're saying natty.
I didn't say that.
After all that, I'm gathering natty from all that.
No, but
you're on the Cohen Carr bandwagon. Izzo's telling Jason Richardson, like, what?
I think if you could,
true story.
I think if basketball was 10-on-10 instead of 5-on-5, that Michigan State would have the type of team that would certainly be among the top couple favorites to win a national title.
Please tweet that out.
The problem is you have to have five guys who are better than the five guys the other team's playing, and I don't know that their top five will be better than other teams. I think their backcourt will be really, really good. I think they've got a chance to be very, very good, but they've got to figure all that out. Who should be on the court? Who should be at center? There's a chance that your ceiling still isn't as high as some other teams if you've got Mady Sissoko, Malik Hall, Jaden Akins, Walker, and Hogard. That's a really good lineup, but there's a chance that there's better, they're going to have to figure out how to get, how to put a five out there that gives people the most trouble. But anyway, that was, you can tell Izzo likes the team, and you can tell he's intrigued by it, and I know people are jonesing for basketball. And,
I'm not talking about Michigan.
If you're getting ready to go to Midnight Madness, which, by the way, Tom Izzo says is October 13th, which is Halloween, he said, which he apparently doesn't know what Halloween is.
The numbers are backwards,
Good day for a Muskox flannel. You could have it ordered. It would be shipped by then. You'd have it. Go to gomuskox.com. Again, Grand Flannel is the best overall flannel for 2023-24 by Gear Junkie over a number of notable brands. They have tremendous lightweight flannels. They also have bundles. You can get a hat, T-shirt, flannel, all that stuff by going to gomuskox.com/caw-caw. That's different from our promo code where you get $15 off, but the bundle savings is more. You get that instead, and that's gomuskox.com/caw-caw for the bundle savings. If you'd just rather use the promo code for one flannel, gomuskox.com and use our promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F. We'll come back. We'll pick some games with Harry, Couch in the Rube.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Muskox Quality Flannels. It is time now to pick the games presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games we are betting and the games that Harry recommends. Very pleased now from the Ringer, from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, the great Harry Gagnon. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How's everything?
Good. You sound like
Taylor Swift's #1 fan.
Yeah, what's going on?
Excited.
What's up? No, not at all. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good. Well,
that sounds gambling related.
Yeah. What happened to you this weekend?
I know. I don't know. How did Jay do? How'd you make out, Jay and Lambeau? It was good stuff, right?
It was. Well, let me ask Harry. Harry, was the day you got married? Was it the happiest day of your life? Because I have said Lambeau was the happiest day of. I love my wife. I loved getting married, but Lambeau was one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I've been there twice for both those NFC championship games where the Giants did beat Green Bay. And you know what it seemed like to me, though? Like, I know everyone says the mystique in Lambeau, but whatever it was, I know it was the Brett Favre game when it was -4 and everything like that, but it was quiet in Lambeau. I was not impressed with the crowd. I didn't think it was loud. The Giants went in there and steamrolled them both times, and it just they set the tone at the beginning, and it was quiet in there.
I was at that game. I didn't realize we were in the same stadium, same game on that Giants game.
You guys were sitting next to each other.
Yeah, no, I was up in the nice toasty press box. I was yeah.
And you got to be.
Nope, we lost Harry.
Season, the fans that traveled to Kansas City to Arrowhead, as you saw after the game after they won, they're all over the place. And Jay, I was looking for you. I was looking for you on Thursday to see if you were part of that group at Lambeau after the game.
No, I was headed to the exit after that game. Yeah, I nothing good can come from me hanging out down near that area. You know,
a lot of Lions fans, a lot.
Oh yeah, Packer fans were pissed that people were selling their tickets to Lions fans, and I'm like, so how would you know? You check their ID or check their Lions fan card? I mean, how does that happen? But it was a great time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to some games, Harry. This is a pretty good slate. No Michigan State this week. But in college football, there's some interesting stuff too. Before we get to the NFL, Kentucky plus 14.5 at Georgia. Georgia was not that impressive against Auburn. And I watched some of that game and then listened to their home broadcast on satellite radio, and they were really down on them. They don't seem that explosive. Kentucky looks like a pretty good team. Over 2 touchdowns. I know they're baiting me with the hook. I know it seems maybe this is a bounce back day for Georgia, but I'm in on Kentucky here plus 14.5. Where are you?
I think, Georgia playing at Auburn was a lot tougher of a game, but I just think it's kind of heavy for the way Kentucky can run the ball. Ray Davis was a monster against Florida. I guess I'm being a sucker at taking the 14 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Well, I think last week, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think you guys went with Georgia, but I really liked Auburn considering they were coming off a bad game as they laid an egg against A&M. Auburn got the cover here. I'm not impressed that much with Georgia. You know, they were down 14-3 at home a couple weeks back against South Carolina. Last week, not so great either, as we just mentioned, against Auburn. Kentucky, nice win, fantastic win, considering they never beat Florida. They rolled Florida last week. I think then now, I know it's asking a lot, but I like this team, and I like more than 2 touchdowns. I'm going to take the Wildcats over the Bulldogs.
All right, so we're all on Kentucky. Notre Dame minus 6.5 at Louisville. Notre Dame escapes Duke last week. Notre Dame's clearly a good team. 6.5 is a number that's interesting here because Louisville's not bad. I mean, this is Jeff Brom's program. They won on the road at NC State, rolled a bad Boston College team. That's not impressive. Won in Indiana. That was somewhat close. I think Notre Dame is more than a touchdown better than Louisville, though. I think this is I'm okay here with the Irish. I know it's a second straight road game. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, but like you mentioned, Louisville isn't bad. They're at home. They've played well even on the road. I just think 6 and a hook, they're going to elevate themselves, Louisville, that is, for Notre Dame when they come into town. Give me the home dog. Give me Louisville. What do you got, Harry?
You know what? I know Louisville's 5-0, guys, but like you mentioned, win against Indiana. They beat NC State by 3. Beginning of the season, beat Georgia Tech by 5, who's awful. Notre Dame, what a comeback! What a Sam Hartman, unbelievable. 4th and 16, he creates an opportunity, gets 17 yards. Somehow they pulled out the game. That killed me. I had Duke plus 5.5. What a bad beat that was. But you know what? Notre Dame minus 6.5. Hartman, the way they came back, I'm taking the Irish here.
All right. One of the more interesting games of the week to me is the next 2 we're going to do here, but Maryland plus 19.5 at Ohio State, because we really don't know how good Maryland is. We're not sold on Ohio State's offense yet. Ohio State's defense is tough. I'm not sold 100% on Maryland's defense. 19.5 is a big number for a Maryland team that can move the ball a little bit. I would not bet this. I'm more curious about it, but 19.5 to me is a little too much based on how Ohio State's played and how Maryland's played to this point. Give me the Terps. Jason, where are you?
And Maryland's quarterback, Tua's brother. And when you have a guy like that and 19 and a hook, I just don't know how you can pass it up because it just seems like a lot of points. I think, obviously, Ohio State wins the game, but give me the 19 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
I'm taking it, yeah. Tua's brother's been fantastic. The Terps, they can put points on the board. I'm not sold on the crew from Columbus. I'm going to take the 19.5 against the Buckeyes.
Rutgers plus 14 at Wisconsin. This is one of my I like Rutgers a little on the money line here as a sprinkle. I think Rutgers is much improved. I think Michigan's really good. I don't think Wisconsin's that good. I just think they're okay. And Rutgers physically, I think, is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with them. I certainly like Rutgers on the spread at plus 14. And I like it a little bit as a sprinkle upset. I can see that happening. I think this is a decent Rutgers team. I think people are underestimating them. The Michigan game obviously got away from them. Give me Rutgers plus 14, and I'm going to sprinkle a little here.
I'm with you. In my notes, I think it's disrespectful to Rutgers that they're a 14-point underdog. Don't understand this one. So give me the 2 TDs in Rutgers. What do you got here?
I'm on it, too. They can score, Rutgers can, and I just don't trust the Badgers, guys. I'm going to take Rutgers with the double digits.
Alabama, minus 2.5 at Texas A&M. This is one of those I don't love this A&M team. I don't love this Bama team. Bama's definitely still getting a little bit of the we're Bama deal here. I'm going to buy in under 3. I'm taking Bama here. If it got over that, I would maybe look the other way. But at this number, I'm okay with it. Where are you, Jason?
We know Saban's record against former coaches, and he wants revenge for the 2021 and in that streak for Bama. 2.5. I know they don't have a quarterback, Harry, but I still think they're Bama in this game. Give me Bama minus 2 and a hook. What do you got?
I think this line is a little fishy, making Alabama only minus 2.5 at A&M. Yeah, you mentioned Jimbo Fisher got that win 2 years ago at home against Alabama. I don't like the Alabama quarterback situation. That was Jimbo Fisher's signature win since he's been in College Station. I think he gets number 2 here. I'm going to go sprinkle a little on the money line with A&M, plus I'm taking the 2.5. They take down a bat. Not what we're used to in terms of an Alabama squad.
Michigan, minus 19.5 at Minnesota. You talk about respect. On the road in the Big Ten, giving 19.5. Michigan's been impressive against bad teams, and Minnesota is that. So I just can't. The problem is it's too, I would be a little scared to bet this. But Minnesota struggled last week against Louisiana. They got hammered by North Carolina. They blew it against Northwestern. They struggled. They're about equal with Nebraska. That's what you need to know. That Nebraska game was two equal teams, and we just saw what Michigan did in Nebraska on the road. So I'm going to take Michigan here. It's a lot again to do 2 straight weeks on the road, but I'll go with it.
Do you think the crowd is going to be into this game for the Gophers at all? I just don't think so. I just don't. Give me Michigan minus the 19.5. What you got here?
Yeah, you know what? If you ask me right now, guys, this team who's looked the most consistent in college football so far, it's not Georgia, it's not Texas, definitely not Alabama. It's been Michigan. Michigan is a machine right now. Every single week, they just roll everybody. They haven't given up more than 10 points so far this season, 5-0. I know they played. The talent hasn't been there what they played, but still, they're doing what they're supposed to. They're rolling everybody. I'm going to take Michigan. I'm going to lay the 19.5 against Minnesota.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
All right. NFL games. Big game of national interest. I'm surprised this wasn't flexed to like Sunday night. Panthers +9 at the Lions. And I've seen it 8.5 some places, but like the Lions are the Panthers suck, okay? The Panthers really suck. And I'm still warped by years and years and years of watching the Lions struggle to put a team away like this. But the team they lost to, the only team they've lost to, Seattle, has turned out to be really, really good. And it took a couple turnovers for that to happen. This line's a big number, but I'm okay with it. Give me the Lions on the -9. Or you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, the 9 does look intimidating when you see it on paper, but I just think like this is not the same old Lions. I think they take care of business at home. What do you got here?
You guys stole my thunder here. That's exactly what I'm going to say. How about Detroit? You just take care of your business. You get the Panthers team coming in. You look fantastic right now. Put them away early. They blew the game against Minnesota when they had the lead for the first 3 quarters. They're on a letdown. Back in Detroit's back home. Get it done early, Detroit. Roll them up early. Put it up 35 and win this game going away 35, maybe like 14.
Go Lions. Restore the roar.
All right, Giants +11 at Dolphins. Okay, so unless there's a hangover, the Dolphins just got smacked. And so if they're mentally weak, and this is going to be one of those things where 1 week becomes 2 because they face a really good Buffalo team on the road, then this is a problem. We'll learn a lot about the Dolphins this week because if they don't cover this number against the Giants, if they don't win comfortably against the Giants, then the Dolphins aren't who we thought they might be. The Giants are awful, just horrible, and their offense is nothing. So I don't see how they stay with the Dolphins here in Miami. Give me the Dolphins. The 11 doesn't scare me, and if they don't cover that, then we need to worry about the Dolphins long-term, Jason.
Is this a possible throw this in a teaser by any chance? I just don't think the Giants – I'm sorry, Harry, your Giants – are complete ass, so give me the Dolphins minus the 11. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, even though after the Dolphins were a little bit humbled here after putting up 70 and then getting steamrolled by Buffalo, still, their offense still is very good, and the Giants' offense was anemic last night. They've been anemic all season. It's awful right now being a Giants fan. Give me Miami. I don't care what the number is. Miami can cover this with their eyes closed if they wanted to.
All right, interesting number, Chiefs -5 at Vikings. The Chiefs have not been just blowing people out. The Vikings, I don't think, are quite given up yet. They're not very good. I like the Chiefs here, but I don't, for whatever reason, the number seems a little, I don't know. I don't trust it. I'm going to take the Chiefs here, but I don't know why I don't trust it. I just don't.
I just can't trust. Watching Mahomes, it was kind of, sometimes watching him throw, I'm like, man, that was kind of underthrown. I just can't lay 5. So give me the Vikings at home with the 5. What do you got here?
Trivia question, guys. Trivia question. Who leads the NFL in touchdown passes?
Must be
Kirk Cousins.
My man, Kirk Cousins.
Jeez.
My man, Kirk Cousins. Listen, I'm telling you what, I love this game. I don't like it. I love it. I love the Vikings here. I love how they finally got their first win. They came back, played great defense. Harrison Smith was unbelievable in the second half for Minnesota. Kansas City, very fortunate. The referees late in the game hooked them up again. Mahomes probably should have had 3 interceptions. He should have had a pick 6 in the week before against Jacksonville, which could have made that game sway too. I just don't like the way Kansas City's playing right now. Pacheco was great running the ball, but overall, I just don't like the way they're playing. And Minnesota, don't count them out just yet. They could have won every game so far. It's been a 1-score game. So plus the 5.5 here, give me the Vikings and Kirk Cousins.
The guy's all over the Vikings.
Yeah, man.
You just can't take the punishment. By the way, Harry, speaking of Mahomes, Sunday Night Football, were you screwed by the Mahomes slide?
I was, because on FanDuel TV I had given out Kansas City minus 9.5, so I did get screwed by that. But I understand it, and I get it. I did have Kansas City minus 2.5 on the teaser, so that was nice. I get there with that, but I understand it. He could, if he runs it in, they're up 10, they're still going to win the game. But sliding means you automatically win the game. I get it. It's kind of crazy, but that happened that way. But I understand it.
I thought it was brilliant, but that's gambling related for me. So, genius.
I was actually happy. I hit a really nice live line, middle, and teaser. It all came together with one slide. It was a nice moment for me.
It's nice when those things happen once in a while.
Once in a while. All right, last game here. Cowboys plus 3.5 at the 49ers. 49ers much more consistent, much more trustable. If the Cowboys are playing a dog team, you can't trust them. But a game like this, they'll get up for. And plus 3.5 to me is too big a number. I'm okay on the Cowboys here. I think the 49ers are a little better, but plus 3.5, I'm on the Cowboys. It got under 3, I might think about the other way. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I think we've been agreeing a lot this week. I just think 3 and a hook. I think the 49ers win this one by 1, but give me the Cowboys plus the 3 and a hook. What do you got here?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'll tell you what. I mean, Dallas steamrolled New England, but New England's hurt with a lot of injuries. Just can't get things rolling on offense. Stevenson's just getting 2.7 yards a carry. New England's awful. So Dallas easily can roll it up against these bad teams. Still played that game against, they said they weren't looking ahead when they lost Arizona, but I think they still were a little bit. San Fran just looks like the best team in the NFL, and I don't think anyone's close right now. McCaffrey, I've seen it. I know they don't give MVPs out to running backs or wide receivers. It seems like it's only a quarterback award. But I'll tell you what, McCaffrey, I've seen it 25-1. You see what he's doing for this team. Purdy runs the team. He manages it. But McCaffrey's got the numbers. He's first on the team in receptions. He's first in the league in yards. He's got 7 touchdowns. He scored in 13 straight games. I'm going San Fran. I'm going to lay the number here. I know they still covered against Arizona, but it was timid the way they played until the fourth quarter when they turned on and scored a couple touchdowns. They were relaxed and laid low there. I think in this game against Dallas, they're going to be pumped up for it. I think they get the cover.
All right, Jason, you got anything you want to offer Harry for a parlay or anything?
I just wanted to ask you guys about 2 games, a little 2-leg parlay of games that jumped out to me. Arizona plus 3 versus Cincy. I mean, Cincy, do they bounce back ever? Burrow looks absolutely terrible. And the Texans at the Falcons, Houston plus 1. I think D'Amico Ryans has that team with Stroud. I think they're playing well, playing behind him. I think Atlanta and Ritter is just complete ass. So I like those 2 games. I like Arizona plus the 3 versus Cincy, and I like the Texans to go into Atlanta and win that game too.
Interesting, because I last week my best play in the NFL was the Texans, and Ryans has the team playing great. I mean, they've outscored their opponents by like 35 points the last 2 weeks. Jacksonville, and then this game on Sunday, they look fantastic. I like them. I like them a lot in terms of this spot too. They've been playing fantastic. I'm going to take Houston as well. I like that, Jay.
All right, Harry, I got something for you. I'm a little too bullish on the Premier League lines this week. I'm concerned about it. I need somebody to put me in my place and not. But I love a lot. First off, love Tottenham -1 at Luton Town. If you can find a -1 line, it's a little bit of juice, -134. I think Tottenham's playing great. Luton Town had to play a Tuesday game. I know Tottenham's playing the Champions League. I like Everton, -108 at home against Bournemouth. At some point, they're not going to be snake bitten. Don't hate that at all. Love a sprinkle on Brentford, and also love them on the goal line +1 at Man United, who just got upset in the Champions League today, did not look good at all. And I also really like West Ham at home on the money line +215. So they got to win, or just take them at +0.5 at -140 against Newcastle. Every one of these games I'm in love with. I don't know if anything jumped out at you. I don't know if you can just tell me to sit down and shut up. But there's a lot of games this week I like.
I haven't looked at the soccer, but I'm gonna take your word for it, Graham. But I'm glad you're dangerous. On my West Ham. I got to jump on my West Ham if you're on.
I like West Ham this week quite a bit at home against Newcastle. They rise up at home, especially against teams that are that top 6 level team. They tend to have trouble taking over against bad teams, but beating good teams and giving them fits.
Brentford, though. Brentford, Jay. You got to jump on Brentford.
Yeah. No, Brent. I'm all on Brentford. Especially,
I like it.
Especially with Man U, the way they're playing right now. I just think anytime you're getting that kind of plus money against Manchester United, the wheels are really falling off. You could lose it, but it's worth it on the money line at plus 388 against Manchester United. Jason, you awake still?
Is
over
that
there?
in the CONCACAF?
No, it's in the Premier League. But thanks, Francis.
The young Atlanta boys or whatever.
The young boys. They're playing right now tomorrow in the Champions League. Yeah, the young boys.
Does the jersey say young boys on it?
Probably.
It's probably not a good idea. Yeah.
Harry, you're a beautiful man. Thanks for making time for us as always.
Always, guys. Enjoy. Let's hit something. See you guys.
Thanks,
That's the great Harry Gagnon from The Ringer and Against All Odds with Cousin Sal. We appreciate him joining us. We'll see if any of those soccer bets hit. We will be back on Thursday night with a Groovy Donuts Twitter question show. We appreciate all of you listening. Thanks to Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com. And again, you can use the promo code HOFF, HOFF, for $15 off your flannel purchase. And Tuesday night trivia at Midtown Brewing Company. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.